Once a seeker visits an enlightened master and asks him, "You keep saying that I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, but something which is beyond this body mind complex. You say that I have forgotten myself. Can you please tell me, when did I forget myself? If I have forgotten myself, then there must have been a time when I knew myself. So, when did this forgetfulness begin?" Hearing these questions, the master replies, "If you are hit with an arrow and get badly injured, what would be your first course of action? Would you first try to know which direction the arrow came from? Or would you first want to know who shot that arrow? Tell me, what would you do?" The seeker replies, "Neither would I want to know the direction of the arrow from which it came, nor would I have any interest in knowing about the person who shot it. My first concern would be to reach a doctor and get the proper treatment." "Absolutely," said the master. Then the master further said, "The same is the case with your first question. You have been hit by an arrow of suffering. We call this human life. You have been badly hit by the arrow of identification with body and mind, and you are asking such silly questions. Your primary concern should be to remove this arrow and put an end to this forgetfulness of your real nature. There is no use whatsoever seeking answers to such questions, because these questions can never be answered. These questions will always remain unanswered. Scriptures say that this ignorance about your real nature is beginningless. It has no beginning, but it has an end. Once you know yourself, this ignorance will come to an end." Hearing this, some seekers ask, "How can something be beginningless? There must have been a point in time when it began." And this sounds absolutely logical. To clarify this doubt of such seekers, I want to share a simple example. Let's say you don't know French, which means you are ignorant about French. Now, can you answer me, when did your ignorance of French begin? You would probably say, "I don't know." But can it be called beginningless? Yes, of course, it can be called beginningless. It is beginningless because it has no beginning. But it has an end. The day you learn French, you would put an end to your ignorance of French. Similarly, your ignorance about your divine infinite nature is beginningless, but surely it has an end. The day you know yourself, or rather, the moment you know yourself as you truly are, as the divine infinite being, you would put an end to your ignorance. And that very moment, you will get the answers to all your other questions as well. But having known yourself, you wouldn't care for such answers. When one wakes up, who cares when the dream began? Just imagine you are seeing a nightmare and you are asking someone, "When did this nightmare begin?" And that person replies, "This is not important when it began. Just wake up and you would know everything." And the moment you wake up, you wouldn't even care about that nightmare. This identification with body and mind is nothing but a nightmare. This you will realize when you wake up to your divine, infinite nature.